has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's Ferrall on the bench, coast to coast, in the biggest way possible, hanging out. The bad seat, the bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City, the Big Apple. Ooh. People dressed in plastic bags, directing traffic, some kind of fashion check it up should do. Ooh, woo, woo. Along with the Tutty and Tater King himself, the founder of the Aisle Seat podcast, the rights holder of the Sheet of Integrity, to put it with the golf guru, on the week of the U.S. Open at Oakmont in Pittsburgh, PA. Ready, rockin' in Boston, Pittsburgh, PA. Yeah. Oh, woo, woo. Carver High this afternoon, ladies. Mafia's last day of being 39, running it today with Luke. I am your father. The rundown. A double shot with Morency this very hour. Mike DeCourcy will stop by from the Sporting News this very hour. And then an hour after that, the Sportsbook Consigliere, the one and only Dave Sharapan from In Game Live. And what is happening here? I'm getting the business, Carver High. Am I in trouble, Carver High, already? I haven't even started the show and I'm in trouble. Unbelievable. That's an early whistle. This is unbelievable. I'm going to the penalty box this early.
That does happen sometimes. You know, you just get out there. It's like your first shift of the game. You start skating around, and then you see the ref put the hand up, and you got to be kidding me. Like, I just got out here, and you're already shutting me down. It does happen sometimes, though. The ref does get you from time to time.
I have a bad reputation.
Happy Monday.
Yes, sir.
Here. And yes, I think the most important thing you said out of all that was it is U.S. Open week at Oakmont. So that, of course, is something. And we're coming off a win yesterday with Ryan Crazy Like a Fox at 70-1. So we're hot in the Open. And hopefully we can roll that in. Did the coast-to-coast U.S. Open preview extravaganza today with all the Golf Wednesday guys, Keith Stewart, Cam Stewart, Brady Cannon, all four of us. And that'll be airing a lot over the next couple days to get you set up.
When does that start airing? When does that start airing?
I believe I was looking before. I think tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, 2 hours before Coast to Coast, I believe it's on. So you get the Coast to Coast U.S. Open preview, and then our regular shows at 3.
Is it a 2-hour show?
1 hour. 1 hour show. 1 hour show. So you get that, I believe, the next couple of days at 1 p.m. East. If I remember the schedule off the top of my head, we will see that. So Oakmont, exciting stuff.
That's a heavy hitters club right there.
It's a heavy hitters club, man, and we got it all for you. Outrights, props, crazy props, everything during that hour-long show.
Did you see the rough? Did you see the rough?
Yes, I've seen it.
If you drop a ball in the rough, you lose the ball. You can't
completely disappears. Completely disappears. Accuracy will be at a premium. You need to have some accuracy this week at Oakmont, that's for sure. You want to put it in any of that rough. So we do have that. But, of course, we have several other things to accomplish today as well, including the Thunder covering and laying it on the Pacers last night. Never really much resistance from Indiana in game number 2. You get another big night from SGA. They had guys off the bench contribute, 20 for Caruso even, who had no 20-point games in the regular season. And now he's got like 2 in the playoffs, including last night. So Thunder go 1-1, but Indiana got a win there, Scotty. So we've got really a fresh 5-game series when they start again, game 3 in Indiana. When's that, about 2 weeks? They're going to play game 3?
Somewhere around July 4th. I think they're having it. Right. Maybe the day before that, which would be a Wednesday, I think. July 4th is on a Friday, so it'd be Thursday the 3rd of July.
Okay.
Looks like game 3. I got to tell you, I thought that if you really look at it, both games they were kicking their ass. And in game 1, they blew it. A 15-point lead with 7 minutes to go. And then in game 2, they, built up a giant lead and they didn't melt down. even though the Pacers had a big, second half surge and started shooting the ball and scoring at will, it was too late, and they beat them and handled them and, covered. So the way I see it is they really were beating their ass in both games, and they just blew one of them. They got snuck up on. Don't creep up on me. You know what I mean? Like, don't be creeping up on me. I always tell, 34C or Chop or anybody, don't be creeping up on me. Like coming around a corner, in the dark or any of that business when I'm, moving around. I can't have people creeping up on me. The Pacers creeped their way into that game, and then they crept their way to a win, and then now they go home. I still think the Thunder are better than them, but I think the betting of it is very dangerous. At 5.5, that might be live. It might be live because I guarantee they're going to play hot in Indy. They always do. They play well there too, just like Oak City plays well at Paycom.
They do, and of course, as we know, Oklahoma City, they've won these games on the road, right? But they haven't been good at covering them. So that's a very dangerous number that they'll be having on Wednesday night when they play Game 3 back in Indiana. Series tied 1 game apiece now as we got ourselves basically a 5-gamer. And then, of course, we will also have tonight the Stanley Cup final, which, look,
whoa,
how outstanding. The first 2 games in Edmonton, of course, we left here Friday. Friday night, that Game 2, the double overtime game with Marchand scoring the winner, getting it 1-1 back to South Florida.
You said he'd have a huge role in this series. Was that huge enough for you? A shorty and a double overtime winner was both breakaways. Is that big enough for you?
That's called making a huge impact. And that's precisely what Marchand did in game number 2 on Friday night. And now they go back to Florida, 1-1. Both games have been outstanding. This has been a really fun Stanley Cup final so far.
Both overtime. And, they win 4-3. They were down 3-1. They win 4-3 on the Dirty Draisaitl. And now they go to Sunrise. Are you anticipating? Well, first of all, Marchand is talking about allegedly staying with the Panthers, not leaving as an unrestricted and running back to Boston where he's so happy. He now all of a sudden likes playing on this winner, and he realizes what he can do there. And then secondly, do you think there'll be another overtime game tonight? I mean, the other ones have been tight. Why not? Can you bet that right now? Can you get me that overtime at a big price?
I believe the overtime number for tonight, and this will probably take me about 25 seconds to acquire, but I will be able to get it.
You can find it for when we talk about hockey again. I mean, I don't care. I don't need it right now.
Yeah, plus 330 for overtime again tonight. Plus 330. I actually did that in 17 seconds instead of 25.
That was very strong.
So that was actually a lot faster.
New track record.
We'll talk about it later. I think you're going to get I don't see how this series changes, right? Both games have been super competitive, up and down, lots of fun, good performances on both sides. I think it continues, and I think it's going to continue just like it did. I think it's going to be, they're each going to win a game there, and it'll be 2-2 going back to Edmonton for a game number 5 by the end of the week. That's kind of how I'm feeling it's going to be.
I know we're going to talk about it later, but I saw the price right. They were like minus about 35 today, the Panthers.
Yep, I believe so. I have to.
I think
they're favorite.
That might be the Willy Wonka right there. I think the Oilers will have to win. My feeling is they got to win Game 4. I think they'll lose tonight. And I had Florida plus 110 on Friday night, the double overtime. I think Florida wins tonight again at home. And then I think I need Edmonton in Game 4, and then I need Edmonton in Game 5.
You certainly do. So we have all of that to do. We've got all the baseball from the weekend. How gutless are the Yankees losing 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox? Had all kinds of problems before they showed up at Yankee Stadium. Not the Pirates sweeping the Phillies this weekend. You got me kidding me. Pirates sweeping the Phillies? How great was that Alcatraz center match yesterday morning at the front open?
That was the best thing I saw all weekend, and I watched 4.5 hours of the 5.5 hours. I picked it up at the start of the 3rd set, and I thought it was one of the greatest tennis matches I ever saw in my life.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do. But the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you can't really, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalpost got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. This, I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face. It's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Look, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces in the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Sports Rage weeknights at 10 on all of our TV and radio outlets. We get the luxury of having Morency on a double shot every day on C2C from Vancouver. So I was watching, as you know, I'm a BC Lions fan. And I was watching on the X the scene at that place. Now, was that Saturday or something with Snoop Dogg? When was that? All that footage I saw, when was that?
That was Saturday afternoon here into the evening, right? Snoop Dogg came on at about, 3 o'clock, 3:30 type of deal, local time, 7:30 Eastern time.
We get drunk, we get high.
It was a party.
No fun.
You know the thing that shocks me, Scott, all the time, when these rappers play BC Lion games, 50 Cent did last year, and 50 Cent had like 16 strippers like twerking on the stage and stuff. And he's dropping F-bombs and this and that and suck this and this. And there's kids everywhere. And the kids are dancing with their parents and stuff. And I always thought, I'm like, surprised they don't like chill it out a little bit, considering it's a football game, right? But they don't. And Snoop Dogg did not either. It was like 100% Snoop live, except the only thing I will say, Scott, 50 Cent actually had like a whole stage. Like, he had a big stage and his whole, like, it was like seeing him on tour type of deal.
He did it in the seats, Snoop.
Yeah, like Snoop basically was like behind the goalpost on like a little platform that the cameraman is usually on. And he just stood there and he had the smoke machine going and stuff. But he brought it. People liked it. He was really good. He played for a while as well. And like you said, it was quite the scene, Scott. 54,000 people.
I saw it.
And then after, most of the people stayed too. There's always a criticism. Oh, they're selling these tickets and people are going to the show and then they leave after. People really didn't leave until after the first half they did. And I don't even blame them. It was like one of the worst first halves of football I've ever seen in my life, Scott. I had the over in the game, it was 7-3 at the half type of deal. It was bad. Like, it was just bad football, sloppy football. And then basically half the stadium leaves, and right on clockwork, Scott, like, the opening kickoff for the second half is returned, and it exploded open. It went from 7-3 to like 31-16 type of deal. And like, so the second half, we were rewarded. It was really fun. I won a bunch of bets. The only downside is I'm not getting any younger, Scott. Man, there's like a recovery to these outings. We went hard, Snoop Dogg in the game, man. Like, I'm glad there's not a home game for a couple of weeks.
So you went to the game and you got your swerve on, and then yesterday you were in full shutdown mode, and you just are snapping out of it today.
Yeah, you know what? I watched a bit of stuff obviously yesterday. Made a couple of bad bets. I was on the wrong side of the UFL playoff games.
Uh-oh.
We did hit the over of the NBA Finals, but yeah, I don't go out that much, Scott. I'm more like a sports game type of guy. And, it's not like Vancouver's New York or Philadelphia, Boston or something. It's not like there's games every day here, right? I've got the NFL and the MLS, and the NHL. But in this season, so when there's a game, I generally will go if I can, if it's on the weekend, right? But this one hit hard, I got to tell you. The season opener hit hard, but we're in the win column. And like I said, I'm glad they're on the road. They play Thursday, actually, Scott, already. So Thursday night.
Your teams, obviously I know when the Canucks play. So the CFL and the MLS run in concert with one another, right? Like in the summer.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. Like the Whitecaps played yesterday, actually, and I couldn't make it because I can't go back to back. Yeah. And you know what was crazy? So remember last week we were talking, Scott, about how the Whitecaps lost 5-0. And I said, I swear to God, Scott, it looked like they were drugged to me. Well, it turns out they feel that they were. There's accusations that they were literally poisoned. Dude, they've got guys, like 9 guys, violently ill still, and they brought their own food. They drank their own water. They played in Mexico City like 4 times, Scott, in the last 6 months, and they never had a problem. Last year in the CONCACAF Champions Cup game, same thing. Columbus Crew went there, and they think they got drugged and poisoned. Like 2 years in a row. Yeah, 2 years in a row. It's not like in my head. It's 2 years in a row. Like the coaches are basically saying, listen, we can't prove it. So, we lost. It is what it is, but we were drugged. They're like, we were drugged. And so much so that the 9 players, Scott, were seen by the Federal Disease Agency and stuff. Like they're sick. Like not like they're like, we don't know what's wrong with you. Like we think you were poisoned.
Like
you don't
deathly
have,
ill.
like, yeah, you don't have, like, you're not this sick. You don't have food poison. You don't have this. They're like, we don't know what you have. We think you were poisoned. Yeah, like we think, like, we don't know what it is. Something's wrong with you.
So did they lose on Sunday?
So this is wild. They lose 5-0. Dude, half their team is good. So they're on like the international window, the Whitecaps, right? So you got a bunch of guys playing all over the world. The other guys were sick. They literally played the bottom of the bench. They were plus 300 underdogs at home. They wanted to cancel the game. They beat Seattle Sounders 3-0.
They still won.
Won 3-0, Scott. I guess it's, they're going to roll through the MLS, man. Forget about the CONCACAF, but we can kill everyone in the MLS, evidently.
So, the Club World Cup is coming. Are they allowed to play in that, or is it just...
No, they didn't qualify.
What?
They didn't. The Whitecaps didn't qualify for that. If they would have won the CONCACAF Cup, they would have qualified for the 2029 one.
What this tournament me in 4 years?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So who cares? So we didn't make it. Like, I'm like, yeah, whatever. And like this FIFA World Cup thing is just a dumb idea. It's too much. Like nobody likes it, Scott. It's not like you think like Chelsea fans are all excited about this. They're like,
I'm gonna like it though. Isn't it gonna be good games?
Well, they're sending their top players. Like, so it's not like, you know what I mean? Because at first I'm like, well, is this going to be like the exit? You know what I mean? Well, like when Real Madrid comes and plays against whoever and they play, they don't really send their top guys here. They are sending their top players. So like, PSG, like, they're all playing, like Mbappe is like going to be here. And a lot of the top world's players will be playing in this tournament, but it's very manufactured. And the thing is like, we've got the World Cup coming up as well. There's the Gold Cup. It's basically just a FIFA cash grab. And it's also sort of a precursor to the World Cup. They're in a lot of the same stadiums and stuff, but it's a disaster. They haven't sold any tickets for this stuff.
Well, I want to watch still.
I'll bet it.
Looking for an edge in betting basketball? Injuries can make or break a game. Get insider knowledge from Dr. David Chow and the team of experts with Sick Picks at Sports Injury Central. We reveal hidden health-based advantages the sports books miss. Our doctors provide insights, and our algorithm tells you who to bet on. Spreads, props, totals, in-game bets, Sick Picks covers it all. Go to SickScore.com and sign up for Sick Picks and use the promo code SportsGrid for a free week today.
Hey sports fans, here's a tip to keep in mind the next time you make your betting picks. According to research, home field advantage is no joke, especially in those playoffs. In the NBA and the NFL postseason, the home team typically has a 64% shot at victory. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
I got a feeling Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. I got a feeling there is no chance they're going to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just kidding.
They're still not expected to have over 8.5 wins. They're still not expected to have a winning record. Now, I know things could change for the next 24 hours. I get that. But everyone expected Aaron Rodgers to sign with him. He's going to sign with him.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Plenty of takeaways from Yankees-Dodgers where LA sent a message on Saturday, and the only way the Yankees could salvage it was somehow beating Yamamoto, and they did.
You're staring a sweep in the face, and after losing the World Series, knowing what the opponent is, you know what the narrative would have been on Sunday Night Monday. Oh, Yankees get swept by the Dodgers.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
So, Morency, tonight we got Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals. I thought Friday night was incredible. I hit the Panthers at plus 110. The Marchand double overtime goal. He had a breakaway shorty as well. He was incredible. They got it done after they blew Game 1 with a 3-1 lead and lost in overtime on the Draisaitl. What do you expect tonight in Sunrise?
Can you believe how well Brad Marchand is playing? Like, this is unbelievable stuff from him. A player that they admitted, like they now admitted, Scott, openly, that not everybody was happy about him coming to the team, right? Like, he's legitimately hated, right? And the Bruins and Panthers played a lot in the playoffs over the years, and they really, really didn't like him. And a lot of guys were like, what? We just traded for him, really? And, well, they're glad that he's there now, aren't they? I mean, he just does everything. And now he's added an offensive touch to his game that he never really had before, which is crazy, Scott. It's almost like a basketball player that suddenly added a 3 to his arsenal late in his career. Like, he wasn't an offensive player before, Scott. He was just sort of a pain in the ass to play against, grinder. He'd score 20 goals, but he's full out skilled right now. It's your boy Sidney Crosby that made him good, actually. Like, Marchand was in the league, guys, forever, and he wasn't respected really. Right, he licked somebody. There was, spitting, licking, biting, just sort of the, you know what I mean, Scott? People didn't like him. They were like, dude, like, you're just a jerk. Like, yeah, you're a good player, but you're a jerk. No one likes you.
Unless he's on your team.
He wasn't on Team Canada before because he wasn't good enough, right? And he's from the same he's from the same area Sidney Crosby is in Nova Scotia. It's a small little province to begin with, and, they all know each other a bit, right? Except they weren't buddies. And it was like he wanted to play for Team Canada, Brad Marchand, and he actually called Crosby, and he goes, listen, I know we're not friends, but I want to get better. I want to take my game to the next level, and I know you can help me do this. Can I work out with you this summer? Because Crosby has these famous workouts with him and his boys, Nate McKinnon and a couple other guys come, and it's relentless. Like they're in the woods, like chopping wood and running up. You know what I mean? Like old school crazy stuff.
Right.
And they go hard. Like Crosby doesn't drink,
Drago,
right? Like he goes,
like your boy Ivan Drago.
Yeah, like and Crosby tells everyone, if you're going to commit to this, you don't half-ass it. Like this is real. And Brad was like, I want in on this. And then they started skating together because they'd go to the rink after the workouts. They started skating together. Next thing you know, Brad's got this offensive touch to his game. And it sounds cliche, Scott, to say this because you hear this often in sports. This guy's making himself a lot of money right now. Or this guy's costing himself a lot of money right now. And a lot of the times it's not true. Look at Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold played terrible in the last 2 games of the last year. Still got $40 million contract this year or whatever,
Right.
$50 million.
Right.
So it didn't really matter. But Brad Marchand's a free agent, guys. He only makes $6 million a year right now. I mean, the guy's playing like a $12 million a year player. Now, he's not going to get 12, but he is a free agent, and he could not pick a better time to be taking over the Stanley Cup Finals, Scott. So I'm just throwing it out there. He's going to get a nice little raise.
You think he's going to stay in Florida? He's indicated allegedly that he's thinking about it, staying there.
Well, he said that he basically said we're not. Let's talk about this after. I'm worried about the cup, right? But Scott. Anytime a player's a free agent, they want to become a free agent, right? It's about this is his chance to make as much money as he possibly can. I don't think the Panthers are going to be able to match what teams come at him with. I think the Maple Leafs are going to offer him like $10 million a year or something. But this is where we get into the tax stuff, right? If the Leafs offer you 10 and the Panthers offer you 7, you know what I mean? You're still making more with the Panthers. That's where the advantage comes in, guys, where it's hard for these other teams. He could be like, yeah, you're offering me 10, but if they offer me 7.5 with the taxes, I'll actually make more to stay at 7.5.
And they win cups.
And they win.
Unlike the Leafs.
The question is, Scott, I'm trying to look at this right now. I'll get the odds up. Does the game go to overtime again tonight?
I said yes. 3:30.
Why not, right? I almost feel that it will. Yeah, plus 330. That's what I'm looking here for the number here. Yeah. At this point, I'm going to play it. I jumped in the other night, Scott. It was like the second period, and I was on the air, and I said, guys, this thing's going to overtime again. And we got like plus 240 in game. So I'll pull the trigger pregame. I will take the Oilers tonight, Scott, but I'll take the game to go to overtime as well again.
All right. Yeah, I think it's going to be another great game. The first 2 were great. I think there's no reason for this game not to be the same thing. I think he's been incredible. I think it would behoove him to consider staying there and get paid and stay on a winner that plays for Stanley Cups. That's all there is to it. Enjoy the game tonight. Have a good show.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8 seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face. He's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. The face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
So Mike DeCourcy joins us from the Sporting News every week. You can catch him during the basketball season on Fox Sports and on the Big Ten Network. He's on the take for the Indiana Hoosiers. He said earlier in the break that it's Aaron Rodgers mania in the Steel City. Obviously, he signed the deal finally, and everybody's on board now that he's going to be the Steelers quarterback. You wrote about it. And basically, in not so many words, you said they lowered their standards to do it.
Oh, I think I said they abandoned their standards to do it, Scott. I lowered maybe too gentle a way to put it. This is not like anything they've done before. And there are some who would point to the fact that they have not won a playoff game in 8 seasons and say, well, good, they needed a change. But I think the fact that they have had one losing season in this century says they didn't need this kind of change. Aaron Rodgers' history of cooperation with his coaches is not elite. With his teammates is middling. With putting himself above all others is extraordinary. And I don't see how that fits in any way to what the Steelers have been for the last 55 years and what's made them basically, if you break it down just about every other way, it's been the most successful franchise in the NFL since the 1970 merger between the AFL and NFL. And they've had 3 coaches for a reason, because they win. And they haven't won big lately, and that's because they haven't had great quarterback play. But I don't think getting the guy who led the Jets to 5-12 last year is necessarily going to change that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I actually, and you wrote about Justin Fields, and a lot of his teammates really liked him and liked the way he worked, and I liked the way he played. And I think I went to a few of the games, and he went 4-2 in those 6 games that he started, and then he turned around and got $40 million, and 75% of it, I think you wrote, guaranteed in that deal with the Jets. I guess we'll find out in short order who's got the better deal, because they're playing each other in week 1. Now, look, I have to would you have rather had Fields or Wilson, obviously, over this guy? Are you on the side of Fields or Wilson? I thought Wilson was terrible in December.
Well, he was, but the challenge was monstrous, and just about anybody would have done the same or similar against that stretch. And then the challenge of dealing with Arthur Smith in the Cincinnati game that closed the regular season was even worse than having to try to go against Baltimore's defense or Philly's defense. Is Arthur Smith's game plan for the second Bengals game was beyond atrocious. It was, I think maybe juvenile would be a good word for what they did in that game. Outside of the end of half 2-minute drill and the late comeback attempt that they had where they started to throw the ball because they had no choice, they ran the ball on 11 out of 12 first downs without any success. I think they had 2 runs of longer than 4 yards in those 11. So what are you doing? So you can't blame Russ for that. So my feeling was commit to Justin Fields, tailor your offense to what makes him exceptional, and then find a quarterback in the 2026 draft. That was my preference. And at the numbers the Jets paid, I think that was a fair preference. If you didn't want to tinker with your offense and you wanted to continue to go down what you did last year, then bringing Russ back with a year's experience would have been preferable to bringing in this guy. I know there were reports that some of the people inside the organization didn't connect with Russ, to put it nicely. But I don't think any of them are going to connect with this guy because this guy's not interested in that.
He's almost impossible.
that's how it's gone basically his entire career. There was a great, in the documentary that Netflix produced about him, I think it's called Enigma, Aaron Rodgers Enigma. Yeah, within a half an hour, 35 minutes of it, you have Marshawn Lynch on there talking about how in Aaron Rodgers' time, like he worked his whole life to get to Cal, and then not long after he gets to Cal, he's telling Marshawn, don't worry about what the coaches tell you. Basically, if I call a play that I think will work, I'll take the heat. Well, why would you be doing that after all these years of trying to get to that level? Remember, he wasn't recruited out of high school, had to go to junior college, and he already thinks he knows everything. And now he thinks he knows more than that.
Well, I mean, now he's just painful. I think, is there anything more painful than the NFL, week of game? Okay, so when he does his national interview every week that we all have to suffer through, I don't watch his interviews, but he does his annual every year. He does these interviews with McAfee, and then he plays and whatever. When you saw him play, he was allegedly injured for like the last 2 months of the season with his, I guess, calf and knee. Is that what he had going? But when you watched him, did you feel that he was washed?
Yes, absolutely. He played against the Steelers, and the Steelers had much less trouble dealing with him than they did with Daniel Jones. They played both New York teams last season, beat them both, and they both were in night games. I think Giants was a Monday night and the Jets were a Sunday night. And they had much more difficulty with Daniel Jones because he was a multiple threat. They didn't have to worry about Aaron Rodgers running. They just had to worry about making sure that he didn't throw anything deep. And that's something the Steelers do really well, or especially last year's team. They didn't give up a lot of long touchdown passes, especially during the early portion of the regular season when they were succeeding. And so they didn't have any trouble stopping Rodgers at all. It was one of their more comfortable wins of the 2024 regular season.
So what do you think, Mike? So they got Will Howard, and they, so far they've had these OTAs and everything, and people say he's looked good. You saw him win a Big 12 title. You saw him win a national championship. A lot of people were surprised that he was a 6th round pick. And what do you think their strategy, their plan is for him for the future? Because this is a 1-year deal, right, with this old man.
Yeah, it's a 1-year deal for this season. And then they also have Mason Rudolph as a backup. I think he's under contract for 2. Right. And, of course, Howard. I don't think they have a long-term plan for Howard. I think it's somewhat similar to any 6th or 7th or 5th round pick, that if he happens to show you stuff that you didn't expect, great. And the more he shows, the more you'll give him a chance. But I don't think that there's a real plan for him. I think the plan is to get through this year. They have a lot of draft capital stocked. They're going to get more relative to some of the free agents they lost with comp picks. And they're going to spend some of those on trying to move up to get whichever of next year's, the class of 26 quarterbacks they like the most and that they can find, they can reach. That's the plan. And I think it's a fair plan, but I just don't think the short-term plan with Rodgers makes sense relative to the options they had.
So I'm going to go to these games, and I'm going to have to sit there and root for this guy, obviously. I'm a season ticket holder. I have no choice. But am I better off just like waiting for that draft in Pittsburgh next year to see if they can finally capitalize on the opportunity afforded them with all those picks that they have to do something right for a change? The last time they did something right, they took Ben Roethlisberger and the guy won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, I mean, this is a difficult thing to do, Scott. Lots of people get this wrong, either in the choice or in the development of that choice. It is not easy to do. And the Steelers have not been in a position to draft that high very often. Around 2019, they took Devin Bush, inside linebacker, with the 10th pick in the draft. That turned out poorly, in part because he was injured, in part because he didn't seem to have the same hunger for afterward. But they can get that high in the draft with what they have to spend. And who knows, maybe with how this season goes, we'll see. I don't know how good Rodgers will be behind that defense.
Great job, Mike.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you can't really, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to be this. I'll say this. This is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8 seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face. It's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
All right, Mike, let's dive back into last night's game at the Paycom in OKC.
Yeah, why don't we do that as the Thunder now even things up with the Pacers, 1 game apiece, 123-107 last night. Bunch of guys were contributing to the Thunder. They were getting buckets all over the place on ABC, ESPN.
Down and just contest. Gilgeous-Alexander off the bounce, gets inside, double clutch, counted and a foul. Chance for a 3-point play. That's a great moment to have one of the best games of your career. Hartenstein up and Holmgren with the hammer. Holmgren gets free. Wide open, Wiggins. Once again, Wiggins' 5th 3-pointer.
Yeah, I thought, to be honest with you, I thought Wiggins played great and he was snapping shots. I thought, from outside, I think, what did he hit? He hit 5 threes in that game. And I actually thought, frankly, that Abe Lincoln played a lot better. 6 of 11 from the floor for Holmgren. He had 15.6 rebounds, an assist. He had a blocked shot, only turned it over twice. And if you remember, when they lost game 1, I talked about how bad all those guys played. That Holmgren played bad, and that J-Dub played bad, and Wallace played poorly. And no one did anything in that game 1, to be honest with you, except Shai Gilgeous, right? And I didn't think Hartenstein played well either. So in this second game, they all played better. At the end of the day, you had J-Dub gave him 19 on top of, his first game. It was way better. The guy that didn't show up was Dort. He had the 15 in game 1. He did nothing in game 2. And I thought, Hartenstein was ineffective as well. Only 3 points, but he did have 8 boards and 4 dimes. But I got to tell you, I need more from that guy if they're going to succeed. Because I really do feel that the next couple of games in Indianapolis are not going to be fun for them. They're going to have to really earn it to win it. And if they lose those games in Indianapolis, they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose the NBA Finals. So they have to win one of them, no questions asked. If they win both, they're gonna win the title. if they lose both, they're going to lose the title. And I don't want to sound too obvious, but I think the games for them on the road have been, as you said, they haven't covered on the road. When they win by a bucket or whatever. But winning's winning. So let's see if they can get it done. But they cannot get it done, I believe, if it's just Shea Gilgeous and Caruso scoring, that's not going to cut the mustard for me. It really isn't. They got to get J-Dub going. They got to get Hartenstein with those floaters he puts in and some lob dunks. That guy has to be a double-double every night. He can't have 3 points. I don't care what anybody says. You cannot be a 7-footer that physical as that guy is on the glass. I think Mitchell Robinson and him are two of the best rebounders in the NBA. He had 8 boards, but he did nothing else. He's got to do more for me. He's got to get some putback dunks, some lob dunks, and some floaters. I think he's the best big man floater shooter in the league. Like, he gets into that lane from 8 to 10 feet. He's like, pop, and he little raindrop, and he's good at it. But he's not taking shots now all of a sudden, and he's giving me 3 points. It's not good enough, Mike.
It's not good enough. You definitely need more than that. I was happy to see it. They gave him a little bit more burn. I think he only played 17 minutes in the first game and played 22 minutes in this game last night. Now, let me ask you this before I move on. Take the spreads out, take the covering, take any of that away. Do you think that this series will go back to Oklahoma City for Game 5 2-2? Do you think that they will split these next 2 games in Indiana?
Yes.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I feel like the way that, and like you said earlier, both games were kind of played, OKC kind of dominated the majority of both games, and they just, they slipped on the banana peel in the fourth quarter of game number 1. I think that Indiana can get one of these 2. I don't know which one it is, but I think they can get one of these 2
first
at
one.
home.
I think it's the game Wednesday night. I think that they can get lit, feed off of it, and pull it off, because they can score with Oak City. And, at the end of the day, they proved it in the second half last night, right? Like, so they can run with them and score with them, and you're giving them 5.5. Forget about the spread, okay? You said forget about the spread, forget about the total, forget about everything. Let's just talk pure, win, lose. Can they win the game tomorrow night, or Wednesday night, in the field house at Indianapolis? I say yes. I think the Pacers can pull off the upset, if you want to call it that, because I think they're every bit as exciting in terms of offensively, frankly, as the Thunder. They run up and down and they fill it up, and there's no getting around it. I think they did a much better job for my money on Halliburton. You saw Caruso on him a lot last night. They gave him less space to operate and to shoot, but I think he still led him in scoring, right? But I thought his game was, what did he have, 19 or whatever it was, 17? He had 17. So I just thought, with his 17, he was 7 of 13 from the floor, 3 of 8 from downtown. He hit 3 threes. I'll give him that. But I thought he was relatively mild. It was a calm night for him, and I thought that was because of, once again, that defense rears its ugly head. I think the Oak City defense is flat out better than the Pacers. The Pacers play a full court press defense, and I think the Thunder play a better half court defense. They don't care about you getting the ball over the timeline with their college press like the Pacers run. But I think from the timeline in, they are a problem defensively for anyone and everyone, including the Pacers.
Yeah, and look, I know that most of these guys didn't play the fourth quarter, but having nobody touch 20 points is a problem. I mean, you get nobody touching 20 points, you're not going anywhere. Either Siakam or Halliburton or one of these guys got to get 20 plus if the Pacers are going to have any shot at winning these games. All right, we'll come back. We'll hear from SGA, your boy Chet, and a few of the others from last night.
Guess what, golfers? Vegas isn't just casinos and pool parties. In fact, there are 50 golf courses within a 15-mile radius of the Strip, all boasting beautiful desert oasis landscapes. So, if you're looking for a break from the action, consider hitting the links. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you can't really, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
All right, so SGA lit it up. Like, one other thing about the Pacers, they had all those guys. You said nobody had 20, right? They all had double figures, but they were kind of short on, anything over, nothing went over 20. 17 was the high, so everything was between 10 and 17 for all of them. So I thought they just didn't do enough.
No. And like I said, I know that those numbers are a little, none of those guys played the fourth quarter. I know someone would have 20 if they actually played the fourth. They didn't get burned in the fourth because the game was a blowout, but still, do more beforehand. SGA, 34 points, 5 boards, 8 dimes. As you always like to say, SGA agrees. Stay focused, son.
You have to stay focused on the task at hand. Now, whatever that may be for your team and how you want to attack them or go about the game plan, but you have to lock in and stay focused. And even tonight, we've had some moments of slippage. Now, you're not going to be perfect out there, but it goes without saying, like, to make it this far into the season, it's going to take supreme level of focus to reach the ultimate goal. And they're a display of that to the highest form. Like, they play a full 48 minutes, and you can't just throw the first punch. You got to try to throw all the punches all night. And, yeah, that's what we did. We threw enough punches tonight to get a W.
Listen, I agree with that because, the reality is in game 1, they played about 44 minutes. And then there was about, 5 minutes or so where they just didn't play and they got caught and they got beat. It was basically the last 5 minutes of the game, right? I mean, at one point you're up, 15 or whatever. And then it was 7 minutes left. And then it was down to 9, 7, whatever. And at that point, from under 10, when they got it under single digits, I thought the Thunder stood around and watched the Pacers beat them. They just kept scoring and they kept coming down and hitting shots. And then they'd go down and take a bad shot or turn it over or, make mistakes. And I think the difference for me is that we've seen it every night is that for the most part, the Pacers do play 48 minutes strong. And that was the Knicks' problem. The Knicks' problem is that they were playing 40 minutes. 40 minutes. The game's 48 minutes. The Knicks would play 40 minutes hard, and they wouldn't play hard for 8 minutes. You could, whether it was 2, 2, 2, and 2 of every quarter, they just stopped trying. They just took a break. And then they didn't have the depth and the bench that the Pacers have. The Pacers go hard with whoever's out there. They put 5 out, they put 5 in, they play hard. And if the Thunder don't play hard for 48 minutes, they're going to get beat by this team. That is a legitimate playoff-built winner, the Pacers, with a great coach. I don't know how many times I got to say it. Like, they're very capable of winning this and beating them. I've always thought Oak City was better and that they would beat them. But if anyone can do it, it's this team.
No doubt about that. Here's Dano also, SGA. This guy's unbelievable.
Yeah, unsurprising at this point. It's just kind of what he does. He just continues to progress and improve and rise to every occasion that he puts himself in and that we put ourselves in. And I thought, his floor game tonight was really, really in a great rhythm. I thought everyone played better individually, and I thought we played better collectively, and I thought that was just a byproduct. I give the team a lot of credit because that's a long 48 hours when you lose game 1 like that, coming into game 2. And the guys did a great job of just focusing on what we needed to do to stack to a win tonight, and that's how we got it. So that was individual players, collectively, offense, defense, everything.
I don't think that he shoots particularly well from outside, from downtown at all. He hit 1 3. That's the only part of his game that isn't crazy, because the rest of his game is crazy. He's incredible. At the top of the key, in to the elbows, to the paint, on the wings. He gets his shot off. He gets his space. He finds where he wants to get his spot, and then he makes it. So, but outside shooting isn't, I think, a part of his repertoire, at least not at this point. I think he's an MVP inside the 3-point line. That's why he got the MVP. He's so great, and especially literally from the free throw line in, he's lethal.
He certainly is from that point. He does not miss anywhere in that range. All right, we'll come back and we'll finish it up. Like I said, I've got Chet too, a couple of the Pacer guys, and then I'll give you all the numbers for Game 3, which will be Wednesday night, back at the Fieldhouse in Indiana as we move on with the NBA.
Yeah, listen,
Finals.
I think these high percentage shots are why he's so great. I mean, I don't think it's that hard to shoot 8 and 10 footers compared to shooting 25 footers.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.